Howdy folks, I'm Wobbly Wood Avens, wistfully weaving through wet woodland walkways.
I'm Amber.
And here are more wet woodland walkways for us to weave through. So let's get started on doing that. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Using a Child Harness on My 12-Year-Old Daughter? Hi, yes, I'm one of those bad mothers who keep their child on a leash. And yes, I still do that even now when my daughter is already 12 years old. I could put this up for a vote right now, and everyone would judge me, so here is a brief explanation of my reason for doing this. For one thing, I don't use the harness all the time. I use it much more often when my daughter was younger, but now I only use it in specific situations such as crowded shopping malls and cities and airports and train stations. Basically anywhere where it's very crowded and there's lots of people, or where things could get very dangerous. The second reason is that my daughter herself, she is often inattentive and has mild ADHD. The harness gives me the peace of mind knowing where she is and that nothing bad can happen to her. I understand that she doesn't like the harness anymore at her age, but I prefer her to be safe. And no, I won't be able to do that until she's an adult, but perhaps a few users here understand my way of thinking. So let's talk about it. I'm a huge fan of the harness. It has helped me several times and gives me peace of mind. And it's only a minor restriction for my daughter compared to what could happen to her without it. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, this is like she's 12 and she has mild ADHD. That is not an excuse to keep her on a harness. Like, I would understand if she was like 2 and at risk of running into busy roads, but 12 years old is old enough not to.
Well, also, I think OP will hamper her development.
Yeah.
Right? If she can't prove herself out to be confident in her own abilities, then I think that that is going to be something that could be detrimental to her in the long run, right?
Yeah.
So I think that OP isn't doing her really any favors. I mean, a lot of kids build up confidence by doing things and are able to strike out on their own. But if she never feels like she can strike out on her own, then she may actually not be confident in her abilities. And I think that OP may want to reconsider their use of the harness here. I don't think that this makes her any more safe. A lot of people travel on a lot of places and very few need to have their 12-year-olds on harnesses, right? Now, I could understand if she was a risk to herself or others, then, and wasn't, and had something more severe than ADHD or mild ADHD, there could be a case to be made that saying, oh yeah, she's mentally 5 years old, and if I don't put a harness on her, then she's going to run out into traffic without me watching or something like that, right? I would understand that, but this is a 11-year-old who seems to be sound mentally, have all of her faculties amongst her, and I don't think it's fair to harness her like this. And not to mention like the ridicule that she'll incur from like the school kids and stuff like that see her in a harness at this age. I mean, she'll be the laughing stock of the school. That's not going to be a fun environment for her, especially nowadays where things live forever on social media. One friend takes a picture of her in her harness, and I mean, that's going to be her reputation for the rest of her life,
Yep.
I don't think this is healthy. I think that OP probably needs to go to see a therapist about her attachment issues and, talk about the risks of having a harness, and also family therapy, because I think like at this point in time, there's probably going to have to be some discussions about this, especially if the daughter doesn't feel comfortable enough taking the harness off or, removing it,
Yeah, well, because like if I at that age, like I would have just refused. I wouldn't have just sulked about it. I would have we're not doing this.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Trusting My Boyfriend After I Found Out He Was Secretly Updating My Parents About My Life? I'm a 25-year-old female, and I've been with my boyfriend, a 27-year-old male, for a little over 3 years. For some background, I have a complicated relationship with my parents. They were not abusive, but they were very controlling when I was growing up. They wanted to know my whereabouts, who I was with, and how I spent my money. It got to the point where I felt that I had no privacy. Things got better after I moved out at 22. I still talk to them, but I keep a bit of distance because I value my independence. My boyfriend knows all this. We had many discussions over the years about my relationship with my parents. Well, about 8 months ago, I lost my job. It was a stressful time, but I was actively applying for new jobs and living off my savings. I told a few people because I didn't want constant questions. A few weeks after I was laid off, my mom called me out of the blue and asked how my job search was going. I froze because I didn't tell her I'd lost my job. I asked her how she knew, and she got defensive and changed the topic. I figured that she must have heard from someone else. Well, a few months ago, I was at my boyfriend's place using his laptop to order food, since my phone was charging in the other room. While entering the restaurant's name, a messaging app popped up. I wasn't trying to snoop, but I saw my mom's name, so I clicked on it. Some might say I shouldn't have, but seeing my mom's name on my boyfriend's computer got me intrigued. What I found completely blindsided me. For over a year, my boyfriend has been messaging my mom from time to time. Not just casual chats, he was giving her updates about my life. When I was job hunting, he told her how many interviews I had. When I thought about moving to another city, he filled her in before I made a decision. When I was struggling with anxiety, he shared that too. When I mentioned taking a solo trip abroad, he told her that as well. There were dozens of messages. The messages weren't hurtful, but they were detailed. At one point, my mom even thanked him for keeping her updated since I don't tell her anything anymore. That made me feel awful. I confronted him immediately. He explained that my parents were worried about me and he thought that he was helping. He said my mom often asked how I was doing and he didn't see any harm in answering. I asked him why he never told me and he said that he knew that I would be upset and would tell him to stop. To me, that made it worse. He didn't accidentally cross a boundary. He knew how I felt about privacy with my parents and chose to share the information anyways. He apologized and promised to stop. The issue is that since then, I've had trouble trusting him. Every time I share something personal, I wonder if someone else knows too. We are still together, but it has been months, and I don't feel the same level of trust that I had in him before. He claims that I'm punishing him for something that he did with good intentions. I keep thinking that good intentions don't mean much when someone knowingly goes behind your back. Am I the jerk for struggling to trust him after this? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. First of all, you don't choose your emotions. When your trust is broken, it's not like you're actively choosing not to trust him. But secondly, he doesn't deserve your trust. What he did is not okay at all. He knew that you did not want your parents knowing this information, and he was going behind your back to give it to them. Why would you trust him with anything? I'm not saying OP's in the wrong for trusting him, but why would he expect you to trust him with anything at that point in time? If he can take something he knows is such a huge betrayal and do that to you.
Trust is earned and easily broken. And that's the reality of the situation. So when somebody breaks your trust like this, it's very difficult to trust them again. They need to rebuild that trust and prove that they are trustworthy. The fact of the matter is that he did this knowing that OP disapproved of him doing this. Had this been just an accident and he thought that she wouldn't mind, that would be a reason to not a reason to distrust him. He would be able to say, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I thought you wouldn't mind. I was just sharing these details because I thought I would be helpful in not having you have to keep her updated about all this information." But the fact of the matter is that he knew that OP wouldn't approve of this and did it behind her back anyways. That's a huge betrayal of trust. OP has every right to not trust him because if he knew before that OP wouldn't like something that he was doing and he was doing it anyways, then what's going to stop him from doing this in the future? There is nothing, right? All she has is his word, and his word is apparently not worth much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that OP should take some time to rebuild that trust if they want to stay in this relationship, but they don't need to immediately jump into trusting him again because he hasn't earned that trust again. I would say that if OP does want to continue this relationship, it might be a good idea for them to go into couples therapy so they can talk about this so that he can understand the gravity of the situation, because I don't think he gets it yet.
No.
I think that he thinks, oh, why are you punishing me? I said I was going to stop. He doesn't understand how much of a betrayal this was. So maybe a professional can help him see that. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up by Asking a Professor If That's How We Ask for Things. Obligatory, this happened last week. So I am a janitor at my university. I have another job where I help people with special needs. Something that we are trained to do when clients ask for stuff rudely is say, I'm sorry, is that how we ask for things? So at my janitor job, I'm cleaning a glass door. A professor came up behind me and said, Janitor, you forgot the trash can in my room. I need you to take care of it. Before thinking about it, my brain defaulted to saying, I'm sorry, is that how we ask for things? Then my brain caught up to what I said, and I quickly apologized and explained why I responded that way. She apologized for asking that way. Also, my coworker was the one who was doing the trash at that time that day. Today, I saw her again, and I thanked her for not reporting me to HR. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, OP, I don't think you did anything wrong. Like, I think that's a valuable lesson for her. Like, it doesn't matter what someone's status is in a company. You should treat everyone else there with respect. And so for her to just like snap at you and be like, I need you to do this, you know, like, 'cause she had just asked politely, even like, oh, hey, by the way, OP, I noticed that my trash can wasn't taken out. Can you please take that for me? And, you know, a little please and thank you goes a long way.
I would never imagine treating someone like this. I would never be like janitor. I mean, when I was, working at the university, even as a student, I knew the janitors' names because, would talk to them and not act like I was superior to them. And I think that that's really important because we are all people and we're all equals, right? There is no one profession that makes you a better human being or a human that deserves more respect or more dignity.
Absolutely.
We're all the same, at the end of the day. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. And that's the reality of the situation. I think that the professor needed to be humbled in this particular situation because this isn't how you ask for things. If she was nice about it, that would be different. If OP had been rude about it too, that would have been different, right? If she had been like, oh, hey, when you get around to it, can you please take care of my trash? It's still full. That would be one thing. And if OP had been like, no, you go do this or blah, 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 right? I would think that would be rude. But OP, handled this in a very polite, professional way. And I think that the professor also needs to learn how to handle situations in a polite, professional way. So I think that she deserved to have that said to her. And also, as for reporting OP to the HR, no, you can't get reported to HR for having somebody ask you nicely, or imparting basic respect and dignity onto someone. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Not Inviting My Friend to My Birthday Party? As the title says, am I the jerk for not inviting my friend to my birthday party? It sounds bad, but I, a 21-year-old female, just had a birthday party and purposely didn't invite or tell my 20-year-old female friend about said party. I put friend in quotations because I've really been trying to distance myself from her. We'll call her Denise. For some context, Denise and I met in high school, and we were close when we were 14 and 15 years old. Our friendship ended after Denise shamed me for sleeping with an older guy, calling me nasty names and whatnot. Whatever. She has a very hostile personality, which only has gotten worse as she has gotten older. She's gotten into fistfights a lot, once with a coworker while at work. Stolen stuff from people, an expensive party speaker, cheated on her boyfriend multiple times. She's even slashed her ex-friend's tires over petty reasons. She takes the smallest things as personal attacks and holds grudges over the stupidest things. As a result, Denise only has one friend who we'll call Petra, and they do everything together. And Petra is just as petty as Denise. Petra spat on her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend's car just because she used to date him. I forgave Denise for the things that she said to me, but I kept my distance from her due to the things said above. However, I recently started working at the same company as Denise. Petra works there as well, and so Denise and I have reconnected because of work. Because we were friends before, I feel like she has tried to be more of a friend than a coworker. I'm nice to her, and I don't want to get on her bad side and make her mad in case she does something petty to me. So I stayed friendly, and I've hung out with her outside of work from time to time. Mostly because I don't want to get on her bad side. But I don't enjoy hanging out with her. I know I can just say no, but I don't want her to go and do something like slash my tires just because she thinks that I don't like her. That's how extreme she is. So I feel like it's easier to pretend than risk the repercussions. Well, fast forward, I had a party and I didn't tell Denise or Petra about the party. 3 of my friends that I did invite there, Denise has problems with, of course, over pretty petty stupid stuff. I think Denise feels threatened over any kind of disagreement or misunderstanding, so I think that she feels that if she dislikes them or hurts them first, they can't hurt her back. I also invited the girl who had her car spat on, which would be a problem for Petra since she's the one that spat on her car. So in my mind, I thought that I would invite the friends that I wanted there. And I would hope that Denise and Petra didn't find out in a ignorance is bliss type situation. Well, they did find out, and Denise texted me. Now they're both cold shouldering me at work. I know I need to confront the situation, but I don't want to do it at work. I do feel bad because I know it hurts not being invited to someone's party. I just want to know if I'm the jerk for not inviting them, or what would you do in my situation? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I definitely don't think OP is the jerk here, and if there's retaliation, this is going to be an HR matter. You do not have to invite people who you don't like to your party. Like, what you do off the clock has no bearing on your work. And these people need to keep it professional, and if they do things to you at work, that's an HR issue. If they do things off the clock, that's a police issue and a restraining order issue.
Petra and Denise both need therapy. They needed it yesterday, and I think that's really what this boils down to. If they're creating a hostile work environment for OP, then OP can report them to HR. OP does not have to invite bullies and abusive individuals to parties. Now, if they really want to take the time to try and smooth things over, they can tell Denise and Petra, hey, I'm friends with a lot of people who you don't like, and I didn't want you to be hurt, or I didn't want you to be in a situation where you would feel like there were people around you that you disliked. So I didn't invite you to this party because I didn't think you would be happy at the party. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable approach. I think that OP is being more than diplomatic, but I'm a little concerned with how Denise and Petra are, and I'm a little afraid at this point in time what they might do to OP now that they feel slighted here. So I don't know. I think that these are toxic individuals who OP should have no business hanging out with at all if they can at all help it, right? So hopefully OP can find a different job, because this is not a healthy situation, and I wouldn't want to even be in the situation that OP is, because these people are going to stab OP in the back in the moment that they can, you know? So I don't even know if there's any talking to somebody like this, because what are you going to say to them where they're not going to end up blowing up at you and defriending you and then slashing your tires, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing you can say to people like this, because they want to make an enemy out of everyone. They've burnt every single bridge that they've had, and they're not going to repair the bridge over this, you know? So I feel bad because I don't think there is a clean solution here for OP. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What do you call a grumpy reindeer?
Brian the red-nosed reindeer.
Rudolph.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. And I have Mega Mint that I have just sloshed onto myself. Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to spare. And folks, today is a very special day. It's Rude Person Day. So don't be a rude person. That's the special day. Be a nice person and don't betray people's trust. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Fantastic Friday, folks. You know what makes it fantastic? The fact that it's Friday and the weekend is tomorrow. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on relaying all your personal private information to somebody else's parents.
Don't be a snitch. Unless you are concerned about someone's safety, there's no reason to be sharing private information.
Yeah. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.